Everyone, I am Christina Ayer. I'm here with my partner, Roberta Beatty, and we are thegoodsheet.co. We are in the process of building a company that will make toilet paper out of hemp pulp. And we believe that this can be the start of a revolution in a roll. We're at the very beginning. We've only been doing this for a couple of months, so we have a lot to learn, and I'm hoping that we can gather information and contacts and educate ourselves and build a network, starting with the people in this networking group. Toilet paper is one of the most ubiquitous products on the planet right now. Humans use 39 million tons of toilet paper every year. That equates to 27,000 trees cut per day, just for loo roll, 10% of global paper waste, as well as millions of tons of industrial waste. Hemp, in contrast, is sustainable, it's renewable, and it's clean. It also makes better paper. It's softer, it's more absorbent, it's stronger. It can even be antibacterial. So it's an amazing product, but it's toilet paper. How does it start a revolution? It seems like a bit of a leap. Well, the answer is in the material itself. I have come to understand over the last 20 minutes that I am preaching to the choir. Most of you probably know all of this stuff already. So I'm going to go over it really quick, also because I practiced it and I don't know how to skip it. But it begins with soil health. Hemp is capable of regenerating and rebuilding the soil that it grows in. And this is our, I believe, number one most pressing issue at the moment. About 2/3 of the planet's surface is currently in the process of desertification, and our aggressive agriculture techniques have resulted in, from between tilling and the chemicals and the pesticides and so on, have resulted in an alarming rate of topsoil erosion and degradation. The UN estimates we have about 60 years of topsoil left. So that's 60 more harvests before we all starve to death. We got to do something, and we got to do something now. There's a lot of stuff going on in the hemp community. It's moving, and it's moving fast. And that's a wonderful thing, because hemp is capable of fixing the soil. It's nitrogen fixing, so it puts the nutrients that it uses back into the soil. It's phytoremediative, so it is capable of vacuuming toxins out of the soil. Everything from the pesticides that we've been putting in there to heavy metals to even radioactive material. You just have to be really careful what you do with the hemp that you've grown on these poisoned lands, but it can clean that soil. It's also relatively easy to convert hemp cultivation to no-tilling, and this is really important in terms of its carbon sequestration abilities. It doesn't need pesticides, herbicides, or fertilizers, and it grows well on depleted land. Because hemp can fix the soil, it's also key to fixing our climate crisis. This is something I've learned recently. As I said, we're new to this, so it might be old hat for you, but you don't see a lot of people talking about the importance of the soil to what is happening right now in terms of our environmental crisis all over the world. The soil is capable of processing up to 4,000 gigatons of carbon. It is the mechanism that the planet uses for processing carbon. In contrast, the atmosphere can only process about 1,100 tons. We don't, at the moment, allow the soil to keep the carbon it's sequestering with the nature of our agriculture. It's estimated that just a 0.4% increase in soil sequestration through agriculture can offset 100% of human carbon emissions. So reducing is really important, but it's not enough. We need to start drawing down, and we need to use the tool that the planet gave us to do this, and that's the soil. And it also gave us hemp, which is one of the planet's most capable carbon sequesters. In the first place, hemp is curious in that it does not respire. So all plants photosynthesize, oxygen, carbon dioxide to oxygen, etc., during the day. And almost all plants reverse the process at night. Hemp doesn't. During the day, it gathers the carbon dioxide, it turns it into oxygen, and at night, its cells close down and it simply doesn't breathe. As a result, hemp in the plant is capable of sequestering between 22 and 44 million tons of carbon per hectare. In the plant is important but it's not the big thing, because as soon as that plant biodegrades, unless we put it in hempcrete, that carbon goes back into the atmosphere. So when our toilet paper is flushed, that carbon comes out again, makes it neutral but not negative. What's really important is this element of being able to cultivate hemp with no-tilling techniques, and also to harvest it with no killing. So we can leave its roots and we can leave the carbon that it's sequestering in the soil. It has very deep tap roots, which make it capable of fixing another up to 37 million tons per hectare in the soil where it stays. It's also very important to reestablishing a balance in terms of how we use the land. It is a very high yield plant compared to most of its competing crops for its various different products. We're talking about toilet paper here. So in a paper context, hemp is capable of yielding 4 to 10 times more pulp per acre than trees. That's a statistic that gets thrown around a lot, and I've done a lot of various different research on it, and it's actually complex, but quite true. And it does that in only 4 to 5 months, whereas trees can take 30 to 50 years before they're ready to harvest. It's also 80% cellulose, which is what we need for paper. It's also what we need for plastics and for textiles, whereas trees are on average about 30%. Altogether, this means that you can grow the same amount of paper with hemp in about 1/10 the land use of what's required for growing paper with trees. That means if we convert our paper to hemp, we can leave 90% of the tree plantations to grow back into forests. We can leave that land to become wild again, which has an important impact on both deforestation issues as well as biodiversity issues. Now, my point of view, that would be enough. We need to grow hemp everywhere, and prohibition is absurd and it's obscene. It can save the world just by growing, basically. But it doesn't do nothing for us. Hemp actually is capable of doing for us everything. Because it has such a varied multiple yield, hemp can provide products that fulfill every basic human need. So we get food, clothing, shelter, energy. Anything that's made out of plastic can be made out of hemp, and hemp plastic is biodegradable. Once we've taken out the medicine and the energy and the food and the textiles and so on, everything that's left is biomass, and it can make great furniture. It can also make great biofuels that are renewable and sustainable and hypercaloric. So biodiesels that are regenerating the soil they grow in rather than depleting them and destroying them. So that's the pitch for hemp in general. Yes, weed can save the world. How does weed toilet paper save the world? Well, this is where it gets interesting. We believe that if you want to move the mouse, you've got to move the cheese. And what we want to do is use toilet paper as a mass consumer product to, in the first place, create mass consumer awareness, to also create a mass demand that motivates industry and agriculture to convert. Now, there is mass demand. There's more demand than there is supply at the moment. And that's one of the big issues that we're facing in trying to find a product. So the other thing that we're hoping is that our ubiquitous mass consumer product will be able to make masses and sheetloads of money. And we're going to use this money to pour back into the developing hemp industry to be able to support sustainability projects based on soil health and regenerative agriculture, as well as R&D for development of new hemp-based products and technologies. So our idea is that money is what's making the world go round. And as much as each individual can try and change things, the world is not going to be saved unless we can move industry and agriculture. And we can move industry and agriculture only if we move the money. And you got to have money to move money. So our objective is really to launch a mass consumer product that has a great income potential, and to leverage that income to make changes and ease the growth of the hemp industry in general. So what we are offering to consumers is a choice of a product that's not just about changing their own behaviors and their own impact, but it's about choosing to put their money in some place that can actually make a difference. So I can buy a reusable bag and that's great. But if I can buy a reusable bag where that money goes into fighting off the monsters that are making plastic bags, that's even better. And that's our dream. The reality is it doesn't exist. And I'm aware that many of the points of this dream are quite naive as well. As I say, we've been doing this for 2 months. And we need a lot of help. And we've joined this group and we're reaching out to the people in this network to see if we can start building up a community and a foundation and an understanding of really what it is that we're getting into. So we need 2 things. We need to build critical mass in the consumer market. So in terms of our product, we're looking for community building champions, tribe leaders, people that will follow, share, engage, tell their friends, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we're also looking to develop more insider contacts in the hemp industry. So we want to meet people on the ground who are working in hemp or people who work with people who work with hemp. Ardia, do you have any pulp processors so that we can get some toilet paper manufactured on the ground in the US? No, I figured as much. But this is the kind of thing that we need if we're going to realize this dream. We need these contacts and we need the experts and we need the scientists. And we need to know also what are the pain points so that we know once we make all of this fantastic money, where is the best place to spend it? Should we be helping farmers to buy no-till seed drills? Or should we be building logistics networks that takes the stock from who's making flour and the flour from who's making stock and moves those things around? We need to find these things out. So we know our direction and what we want to do, but we really need a reaching out to experts and experienced people within these marketplaces in these areas to help us give that some direction and some push. So these are all the ways that you can find us. So if you have things to offer, and if you want to talk to us, and if you want exchanges and so on, all of these things you can find us through all of our various socials on the website. You can also see here on the left our posts and our social media and our communications are humor driven, because we're going for a mass market. And what we think is that if we make people laugh, we can get behind and under and around their bias shields and their political defenses and all of the barriers that they've built up against making change. And we can get our message through just because they're laughing. I mean, toilet paper is funny. That's one of the best things about this product, is that it can make people laugh. So I'm Christina. Bertie is here with us as well. You'll see her down there in the corner. And these are our email addresses. And I really invite anyone and everyone to reach out to us. We'd love to talk, to email, to meet, to all of those things. If anyone has any great ideas for next step for us and so on, we're wide open and full of energy and excitement. So this is us. We're a good sheet and raring to go. Thank you.